New questions about trust following a sex assault investigation at San Diego schools. The documents that prompted school officials to release more information.
All these tires will end up in the ocean if we don't clean it up.
Washing up from the border and piling up in South San Diego County, the weather trend that could transform used tires into a public health hazard.
And you see that blade start to turn and you start to hear that electricity being generated. It's a feeling that really gets to you, that you look up and you say, I did that.
Blowing in the wind, new jobs for workers who once relied on fossil fuel production, the skills they need to power the world on clean energy. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma. San Diego and Carlsbad Unified School Districts have recently been the targets of federal investigations into sexual assaults, but parents would have never known about it if it had been left up to school officials. Reporter Chris Young from KPBS media partner inewsource says some parents and child safety advocates are frustrated by the lack of transparency.
When the U.S. Department of Education opened its sex assault investigation at San Diego Unified in 2014, district officials said nothing publicly. The Office for Civil Rights closed its inquiry in April. It found that the district failed to follow federal law in response to a parent's complaint that his son had been assaulted by another student in a school bathroom. School officials agreed to improve how it handles such incidents, but they never publicly mentioned the district's settlement with the government either. Carlsbad Unified also stayed quiet when the feds started an investigation there in December. That inquiry is ongoing. The schools didn't acknowledge the federal scrutiny until inewsource reported the investigations after receiving documents through the Freedom of Information Act. I spoke with Jules Irvin Rooney. She's the board chairwoman at the national nonprofit group Stop Sexual Assault in Schools.
The school system had a responsibility to let the parents and the community know that something was under investigation. Without that transparency, we're not able to trust.
Administrators from both districts pointed out that the feds didn't require them to make public disclosures. A Carlsbad official said he questioned the value in making a general statement to parents. For KPBS, I'm inewsource reporter Chris Young.
San Diego police believe a man accused of murdering his 2-year-old stepson in 2002 either intentionally or accidentally injured the boy and then failed to get him medical help, according to an arrest warrant unsealed today. The warrant says Tyree Jones wrote in his journal in April 2002 that his stepson, Jahi Turner, quote, hadn't been moving or really talking. Then, in March of last year, police say Jones hinted to the boy's mother in a recorded phone call that what happened to Jahi was an accident. Jones had initially reported to police that Jahi had gone missing during a visit to a park. A 30-year-old man was shot and killed by San Diego police in the Encanto last night. Police say the suspect tried to ram them with a stolen car after a chase. He's been identified as Thongsoon Via Isane. Investigators say the shooting was captured on their body-worn cameras. Last week, District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis said she would release relevant video of officer-involved shootings where the officer is not being charged. A plan to require police departments to reveal how many rape kits are collected and how many go untested has cleared the California Assembly. It now goes to the Senate. California has a significant backlog of rape kits, but very little data and few explanations. Rape kits contain forensic evidence collected from victims who must endure a meticulous and invasive process that lasts hours. The testing can give investigators DNA evidence that helps identify suspects. Following up on the 10 American sailors who were captured and held in Iran, the U.S. Navy fired the man who was in charge of the squadron. The sailors ended up in Iranian territorial waters in the Persian Gulf last January. They were held by Iran for nearly 15 hours. A Navy official says the Navy lost confidence in Commander Eric Rash. He was responsible for more than 400 sailors in his unit. Mail-in ballots are arriving this week for the June 7th election. Also arriving are a number of campaign mailers. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says a mailer sent in San Diego City Council District 1 has caused a stir.
The mailer was sent by the Lincoln Club. That's a conservative group supporting Ray Ellis in the District 1 election. The flyer accuses his Democratic opponent, Barbara Bree, of supporting a downtown Chargers stadium. Bree says that's just not true.
I am on the record as being against any taxpayer funding for a football stadium for the San Diego Chargers. And I'm also against a downtown stadium, because I believe that land is better used for an expansion of our innovation economy, which creates very good-paying jobs.
The Lincoln Club is funding 2 political action committees supporting Ray Ellis. Together, they've raised about $300,000 in just a few months. Ellis says he has no control over activities of independent groups that support him.
I and my campaign have no contact with any of these independent expenditures and that type of thing. We're not involved with that at all.
District 1 covers the north coastal neighborhoods, including La Jolla, University City, and Carmel Valley. The huge amounts of money being spent in the election are a testament to how important it is to the political landscape of San Diego. The election will almost certainly decide if Democrats keep their one-vote majority on the city council or if that control shifts to Republicans. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Apparent presidential nominee Donald Trump met with GOP party leaders today, including his first face-to-face with House Speaker Paul Ryan, who said their meeting was a good first step to unifying the party, though he stopped short of an endorsement.
I heard a lot of good things from our presumptive nominee, and we exchanged differences of opinion on a number of things that, everybody knows we have. There are policy disputes that we will have. There's no two ways about it. Plenty of Republicans disagree with one another on policy disputes, but on core principles. Those are the kinds of things that we discussed, and again, I'm encouraged.
After the meetings, Trump tweeted this photo today saying that things were, quote, working out really well. A nation in turmoil, Brazil's first female president, Dilma Rousseff, has been stripped of her duties pending her impeachment trial. Associated Press reporter Padmananda Rama has more on President Rousseff's reaction and how her suspension may affect the coming Olympics.
Facing impeachment, Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff stands defiant.
Quando uma presidente eleita é caçada sob a acusação,
calling the Senate vote to impeach and suspend her a coup, she says she will never stop fighting.
No mundo democrático não é impeachment, é golpe.
Rousseff appeared publicly Thursday for the first time since the Senate voted 55-22 to impeach her. The 68-year-old, who was tortured under the country's previous dictatorship and survived cancer, says no pain is as acute as her current injustice.
É a maior das brutalidades.
She's accused of using accounting tricks to hide large budget deficits. She says she may have committed errors, but she never committed crimes. Her entire cabinet was also dismissed. The Senate has 180 days to conduct a trial for Brazil's first female president. Vice President Michel Temer will replace her on an interim basis. Brazilians awoke to the news Thursday morning after a Senate session that lasted more than 20 hours and many months of turmoil.
Vamos ver agora o que vai acontecer.
Let's see what happens now, one woman said. I hope that Temer can fix all the damage made to our country. But Temer may also be implicated in the accounting scandal. Yet fans of Rousseff greeted her outside the presidential palace with open arms. Her backers are threatening wide-scale protests and strikes. Meanwhile, the crisis comes as South America's largest country prepares to host the Summer Olympics. The International Olympic Committee insists final preparations won't be affected, and the Summer Games in Rio de Janeiro will be a success. Those games, which kick off in August, are now just months away. Padmananda Rama, The Associated Press.
The State Assembly is taking up the issue of limiting the number of non-resident enrollees into the University of California system. This comes hot on the heels of a scathing state audit that showed the UC system is accepting more out-of-state students than ever. The issue cuts across party lines in the Capitol, with both Republicans and Democrats saying it's time to protect the interests of resident students.
We need to be fighting for our California students. Yes, non-residents can come into our UC system. It's part of the experience of having a diverse and different student body. But California UC system should be for California students first.
Negotiations between lawmakers and UC officials are ongoing. UC leaders have said they oppose the plan but are open to a conversation. San Diego Congresswoman Susan Davis just convened a summit on the need for more diverse teachers. It got us wondering about diversity in the next generation of teachers from San Diego State University. They graduate this Sunday. The School of Teacher Education says 45% of its credentialed candidates are students of color. That's compared to nearly 80% of San Diego Unified student body.
Are more diverse than the state average. We have a nice number of students from most ethnic groups. I think we can still do better.
The university is working with San Diego Unified and the Sweetwater Union High School districts to recruit more future teachers from their communities. Congresswoman Davis has introduced a bill to help fund similar efforts nationwide. Every year, environmentalists in San Diego rush to clean up hundreds of discarded tires that flow into the U.S. from Mexico through the Tijuana River. But whenever it rains, the tires build up again. This year, they could pose a health risk. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero says a binational collaboration aims to stop the tires before they cross the border.
California exports nearly 3 million used tires to a secondary market in Tijuana every year. The old tires don't last long, and they end up thrown away all over Tijuana, where people use them as foundations for makeshift homes in canyons like Los Laureles. When it rains, these tires wash across the border into the U.S. and pile up in South San Diego County. Environmentalists, businesses, and government officials on both sides of the border have just launched a pilot program to stop the problem at the source. The tires will be collected, shredded, and sold for reuse in Tijuana by a local commodities company.
So the idea is to use some of those tire recycling funds from California to pick up tires and then get them recycled in Tijuana. So we don't have to spend 10 times as much to pick them up and recycle them again in California.
Dedina says the tires are a public health hazard as well as an environmental problem.
Now with the threat of Zika and things like yellow fever, we've got to clean up these waste tires because they're perfect vectors for mosquitoes that spread Zika and yellow fever.
The environmental organization Wild Coast is leading the project to help protect sensitive habitats in South San Diego County.
All these tires will end up in the ocean if we don't clean it up.
They aim to pick up 100,000 tires in Tijuana between now and April of 2017. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
A woman who was one of the original recipients of care packages sent by Americans to battle-torn Europe after World War II is now joining in the campaign to send packages to Syrian refugees. AP reporter Marina Hutchinson has the story.
The Syrian civil war may seem a world away from Florida, but Renata Center feels connected to the millions of children driven from their homes. As a child, she also was a war refugee.
You cannot see the holes in the shoes, but I remember having the holes in the shoes.
In her lifetime, one fond memory stands out, receiving a care package in West Germany during the war when all she'd ever used was slate and chalk to write on.
I opened it up, and the very first thing which I saw, and I never forget it, was this beautiful white, really genuine white paper. It was so amazing, and I looked at it, and right next to it was a pencil.
Inspired by the generous gesture, the country she once considered the enemy became her new home when she moved to the U.S. in 1960. Center joined other package recipients recently to mark CARE's 70th anniversary. The humanitarian organization that began with food parcels to Europe has now spread to over 95 countries, including Syria. They are writing letters of hope to Syrian refugee children who have witnessed unspeakable violence and lost loved ones.
كنا ننزل للجو على الملعب نلعب إحنا وعمامي وأخواني.
The United Nations puts the numbers of those killed in Syria at 250,000, but other groups say it's much higher.
And we now face a huge humanitarian crisis, as large and larger, in fact, than World War II.
For this 16-year-old, it's hard to describe the loss.
When someone asks me, what was the most precious thing you left behind in Syria, I would say myself, my memories, everything.
But Center hopes hers and others' story of survival through atrocities will help inspire Syrian children to find themselves again. Marina Hutchinson, The Associated Press.
An unexpected shortfall from California taxes may affect the state budget. Governor Jerry Brown is expected to announce his revised spending plan tomorrow. The California Comptroller announced a tax revenue shortfall of more than $1 billion for the month of April. This is the result of lower than expected receipts from the personal income tax.
So I would hope that the governor and the legislature would look at, how do we take care of some of the commitments that we have the flexibility to do over time, so that we can see whether this revenue shortfall pattern is sustained or whether it's just really a blip at this point.
The shortfall may change funding plans for some state programs. Critical road projects are stalling in California. A new survey shows half of California's roads are in poor condition, but few have the proposed improvement projects are ready to go. The transportation advocacy group called TRIP identified 125 projects that state or municipal agencies identified as, quote, critically needed. Only 14 will be fully funded by the end of the decade. The group's director says slightly more than half of the projects in the report have some funding available. 1/3 had little or none. Clear, sunny skies in San Diego today. Steph Davis says temperatures will remain mild this week. That's tonight on the KPBS Weather Report.
The quiet and seasonable weather continues across much of Southern California as we roll throughout our Thursday. Satellite and radar showing clear skies from the Four Corners all the way towards the Golden State. You'll notice not a whole lot going on, and that's because we have a ridge of high pressure continuing to strengthen and really dominate the weather pattern. So dry conditions from Borrego Springs towards Mount Laguna, heading towards Oceanside and south towards San Diego itself, and that will be the case as we head into tonight as well. So if you're heading out for your Thursday night, nothing to worry about weather-wise. We're looking at clear skies and quiet conditions in Borrego Springs as temperatures fall back to the upper 50s. 41 and dry tonight in Mount Laguna, comfortable in Ramona and Alpine with overnight lows near 50 degrees. Upper 50s with a couple of clouds building into Oceanside tonight, and your overnight low in San Diego is 62. High pressure once again in control of the weather as we wrap up the work and school week Friday, so we're looking at a mostly dry forecast all across the southwestern United States. Temperatures will continue to climb, so expect fairly warm weather. However, it will be cooler along the California coastline with that nice sea breeze. Here's a look at your 5-day outlook for the coast. Low clouds breaking for sunshine Friday and into your weekend Saturday with highs in the low 70s. Same deal on Sunday. Low clouds making way for sun with your high at 72 degrees. A mix of clouds and sunshine Monday and Tuesday along the coast as high temperatures climb to the low 70s. Your 5-day outlook inland, low clouds then sunshine Friday, high 73. The weekend looks good, partly sunny and dry Saturday and Sunday with highs at 71. Clouds will break for clear skies heading back to work and school Monday, high 71 degrees. And we'll see periods of clouds and sun inland on Tuesday. Your high temperature is 73 degrees. 5-day outlook across the mountains, mostly sunny and warm on Friday, high 74. Partly sunny and nice on Saturday with highs in the upper 60s. We'll cool things down Sunday and Monday, back to the 60s we go. And then temperatures rebound Tuesday, partly sunny, high 71 degrees. Wrapping things up with your 5-day outlook for the desert, mostly sunny and hot on Friday, high 98, 96 and partly sunny skies on Saturday. Not as hot as we wrap up the weekend Sunday with temperatures in the upper 80s, flirting with 90 degrees Monday with mostly sunny skies, partly sunny and warmer in the deserts on Tuesday with highs in the mid 90s. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
They're migrating to another natural resource that is already blowing, or that is always blowing, rather. Oil and coal workers facing an uncertain future in fossil fuel production are checking out the wind turbine tech industry. In tonight's Inside Energy Report, filmmaker Brian Malone shows us a school that is filling the demand for jobs. I can't read.
The culture is unique.
All right, buddy, what's up?
We call it the Brothers of Wind. For these students, they want to be here.
We're in Cheyenne, Wyoming at LCCC, and that's Laramie County Community College is where we're at, in wind turbine technology.
And on this particular type of turbine, do we have to have a crane? No. Everything is done internally. You can lower,
I came from the oil and gas exploration field. I've been laid off a couple times. One time was for a 2-year stretch. I've got 3 daughters. When things were good, you could get them what they needed, and you didn't have to worry about it and be able to do the extra things in life. And when you were laid off, you'd have points where you just do the basics and get by. It was really tough.
So on each one of the Clipper turbines...
What I was looking for was something that was more consistent, something that would be a career that I could retire from.
The demand for wind energy technicians is extreme. It's very difficult to find people that want to climb 300 to 400 feet into the air. The college started looking into renewable energy since we started to get wind farms that were located right outside of the Cheyenne area. I'm getting applications in by an incredible amount within the past 2 years from people that were in the oil fields that are looking to find a career that paid about the same amount of money as they were making in the oil field. So technically, you can come straight out of here, but...
I moved to Cheyenne, and I spend most of my time doing homework and studies, and I don't spend as much time with my children as I wish that I could, but where I'm at, that's first priority, is to turn around and make sure that I get a degree and that I can be supportive in the future.
How are we doing over here? When they walk out of this WIN program, they're almost guaranteed to make between $30,000 and $80,000 per year, depending on what company they go to. If they go traveling tech, and they travel the world and the country, I mean, you could make $100,000 a year, you could make $200,000 a year, depending on if you got on the right company.
I really wanted to travel and go all over. Offshore is really where I'm trying to get to. So, and it's twice the risk, so they give you more money for it. I have a job lined up for ending school here soon.
I've been focused more on school at this point than I have centering in on one job, but I have had job offers.
Right here in this classroom, there's about 12 people that have already gotten job offers. And it's not just one job offer, it could be several job offers.
To climb up on a turbine, it's not that much different than an oil field. You're tied off, you have all your safety equipment on. I don't really think it's that big of a change as far as climbing the derrick to climbing in a wind turbine.
The first time any of these students in this classroom climbed a turbine, it's life-changing.
It's a great feeling just to be up there, honestly.
And when you step out there and you open up that hood and you go up there, it is windy, but there's a sense of pride. They see that whenever they get that turbine functioning again and they turn it from service mode to the on position, and you see that blade start to turn and you start to hear that electricity being generated, it's a feeling that really gets to you, that you look up and you say, I did that.
This Inside Energy Report was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. A California law will soon address the meat of the issue. Experts say farm animals are often fed food and water laced with a slew of antibiotics. They say instead of protecting the animal, overuse of the medication can make bacteria more resistant. The new bill will require a veterinarian's prescription, and it will be overseen by the Food and Drug Administration. Experts speculate the new requirements may increase the workload for farms and may in turn result in higher meat and dairy prices for consumers. A serious job hazard for mail carriers in San Diego could be man's best friend. The city tied for second with Cleveland when it comes to dogs attacking U.S. Postal Service workers last year. Houston ranked #1. USPS officials say they are taking steps to help protect letter carriers. Starting tomorrow, customers who schedule package pickups online will be asked if they have a dog at home. Later this spring, postal carriers will be able to record addresses where dogs are present.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour, making sense of grit, the hard work behind success. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom on Morning Edition. Baskine, a Turkish surreal horror film, is getting a lot of attention among film critics. Why it's winning over midnight movie crowds. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.